We're good.
Okay. Everyone's good? Shots good. Can you? Yeah. One second.
You're missing the tip to my left.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There you go.
You're missing the very end.
I see him.
You got him?
Yeah.
It's not on the screen.
He may not be on the screen. I see him, the gentleman with the gray jacket on. Yeah, I got him. They may not be on the screen, but they're here.
Oh, okay, cool. It's because you're not on there, that don't mean we don't see you.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
When you get home and you don't see you, you don't know why. We lied to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good. Thank you. Who set you up?
I don't mean to be rude, can we get a little more light on Chet, or that's not good?
Rude.
Yeah, he does.
They like darken out.
Hold on.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Brian Dotson from BC's and Consulting. I'm here with Teresa O'Neill from BC's and Consulting. And we've been honored and privileged to have the opportunity to work with Let's Buy Black 365 and their initiative to launch their initiative in 2016. So once again, thank you for coming out during the holidays. You know, we're excited to have you here. Members of the press, thank you as well. So what I'm going to do now is pass over to our moderator right now, who is Joseph Grant. Joseph?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for that warm round of applause. I feel so special. But we're going to get started. We're running a little bit behind. As he said, my name is Joseph Grant. I am the ambassador for arts and culture for the 36th Councilmanic District under the leadership of Councilmember Robert Cornegy. And I'm very happy to see everyone here showing up for Let's Buy Black 365. And without any further ado, because again, we're running a little 20 minutes behind, we'll start, go down the line. We'll start with Kamos Mohammed, who is the president and CEO of Freedom Paper Company, to my far right. Sitting directly next to me on my right is Councilmember Robert E. Cornegy Jr., who is the council member of the 36th Council District here in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, and Northern Crown Heights. To my left is Nataki Kimbon. Did I say it right? Kamban? Nataki Kamban, who actually is the one of the brainchilds of this whole Let's Buy Black 365. So a special round of applause for Nataki. Next to Nataki is Dr. Mawia Kamban, who I believe is Nataki's mom. And, and on the far left is Chet Riddick. So, President of Alpha Office Supplies. So, let's get started. We're going to go through, we're just going to go randomly, and we'll start with Nataki, and I'll ask Nataki to explain your company and what's your connection to Let's Buy Black 365.
All right, okay. So I'm actually not speaking about a company. I'm grateful to be a spokesperson for Let's Buy Black 365. We are so excited that so many of the organizers from around the country are here, and others are live streaming and watching what's going on here today. And I just wanted to start by sharing a little bit about why we're all here and how we got here. So the Let's Buy Black 365 movement is a Black economic empowerment movement focused on addressing all of the different issues that we have in the community. when we look at the 1.1 trillion in buying power and how that doesn't translate into political power. It doesn't translate into equity in terms of the housing system, the educational system, in terms of resource allocation. A lot of times when we look at that, we begin to say, well, you know, I hear the 1.1 trillion, but, you know, how does that relate to me? And so this movement is about not focusing on the skyrocketing unemployment rates or the things that we are not doing. It's focused on how do I, as an individual, empower myself and contribute to the community? How do we get away from saying we should do this as a collective of Black people around the country and take personal, individual responsibility towards taking a first step? And one of the ways that we can do that in a first step is I can't control $1.1 trillion. I have no concept of how that even looks. But I can control the dollars that come into my home. I can control where I spend my money. I can control what types of businesses and what types of organizations get my patronage. And so this whole movement is about identifying some of the quality, excellent, Black-owned businesses, organizations, institutions that have been in our communities for years, for decades even, that we just don't know about because we have been disconnected. And it's about bridging that disconnection and making connections so that we can do all the things that we keep saying we should do. So this is really a catalyst and an umbrella to bring all of these things together under the Let's Buy Black 365 umbrella. So.
Okay,
Yes.
well, great. Mr. Muhammad, you are one of the people who actually embodied the whole concept of Let's Buy Black 365. You own your own paper company. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Ironically, Freedom Paper Company is born out of exactly what Sister Nataki just talked about, which is a movement toward us utilizing all the facilities and all of the attributes that we have among ourselves for ourselves. And so, as she stated, oftentimes we're looking for products, we're looking to do business with each other, but when we talk about economics as business people, we have to admit that we've done a poor job in terms of capturing our own market. And so what Freedom Paper Company looks to do is to let people know that we can produce valuable products that we use every day. We manufacture bathroom tissue, for example. And people should know that, you know, it's a quality product that you use and you should get it from us. But even more importantly than just supporting us as a Black business is we have taken on the responsibility to utilize the monies that come into us from those consumer dollars, from as that $1.3 trillion starts to grow and come into Freedom Paper, we're already circulating those dollars back in the community. And so we have to do a little more than maybe the mainstream does because we know the conditions and we know the obstacles and we know the challenges that we face as a people. Well, economically, we have to take this to the next level. And so we're so happy to be a part of this movement that is engaging us and challenging each and every one of us to be responsible now. We say, buy Black, no excuses. What excuse do we have anymore other than coming to ourselves, especially once we gain knowledge of it? There is no more excuses.
Fantastic. And so I did want to talk a little bit about some of the panelists here and why they are strategic partners.
Well, hold on one second. I'm just going to go through and then you can jump in because they'll probably explain themselves as we go down the line. So, and I wanted to bring Chet in coming off of the heels of, I think you have a mic right next to you. So with Chet, with Alpha Office Supplies, your story is a little bit similar to Kim Mose in terms of what you guys are doing out in Philadelphia. Could you speak a little bit about that and how it relates to Let's Buy Black 365?
I certainly can. In fact, our stories are very much similar together as well. Alpha Office Supplies started some 30 years ago. A lot of folks don't really realize that there are African-American businesses that have been around that long in business and been serving folks across the country as well. Alpha Office Supplies started in 1985. It was founded by a gentleman named James L. Brown. He started the company with the philosophy of hiring folks in the community. His job was to recruit, hire, and train people in the community. Those folks who could not get jobs downtown mainstream Philadelphia. So he started his company on the backs of folks that, in some respects, had been left out of community, had been left out with the opportunities to do well. Some had been ex-offenders that he was able to hire. And some of those folks are still with the company today. We're talking 30 years ago, all right? So I think that in itself deserves a round of applause in terms of what Mr. James L. Brown did. James L. Brown was a tremendous friend of mine, and I've been in business for almost over 40 years myself, and I came in to take over Alpha Office Supplies as part of the second generation of Alpha Office Supplies, and I have to carry the same piece on my back that James Brown did, and that is, how do we communicate, how do we create more wealth in our communities? We don't have the wealth, but we do have the wealth when Nielsen talks about $1.1 trillion is what the advertising folks are after to take our dollars out of our community. Our dollars aren't turning over in our community, and that's a problem. However, we do have the solution. As business folks here on the panel today, as folks that are in the room today, we have the power to make change. With the advent of the internet, it allows us to have all sizes of black businesses that can do business with each other and can take a portion of their profits and give back to organizations like the movement, like Let's Buy Black 365. And that's exactly what we plan to do at Alpha Office Supplies. We plan to give a part of our revenue back to the movement because it has to start. And the reason for it is it has to start somewhere. It has to start with us. It has to start with the business community. It has to start with people ready to stand up. As what Martin Luther King used to say is analysis paralysis. We've been through a lot of analysis, and we've been through a lot of paralysis. But we want to change that. We want to change that today. We're going to change it today because today is the beginning. Let's Buy Black 365.
Okay. So, Dr. Maria, would you please tell us how does Let's Buy Black 365?
I'm a psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
and Let's Buy Black 365 is a concept, but more than that. And we have to realize that marketing in itself is a psychological act. That marketing in this country came as a result of Freud's cousin coming over after World War II, being hired by the U.S. to try to propagandize people toward believing in the war movement. And it began more and more after that. So every year, how our brains, how our minds are focused is a result of people deciding what we should think, what we should buy, what we should do. I believe that once we regain our minds, regain control of our communities, then we will once again rise to our traditional greatness and incorporate those thoughts, those behaviors into buying black. If we don't do that, as our panelists have already said, we are basically kicking ourselves in the foot. We will not survive in this nation, in the world, unless we start contributing to our own development. That's mind, body, and spirit. Our behavior, it's Let's Buy Black 365. As a psychologist, we are committed to this. I also do products, healing products, body bars and soaps, things of that nature. But also with my husband, we had an institution, and we have an institution, similar to what Brother Chip has been talking about, where people from the community can come in and be accepted and work together without being scrutinized because they may not have a tie. Because some of them have just come out of jail and have nowhere to go. So Let's Buy Black talks about creating legacy for youth. That when our youth come out of colleges, why are they going to corporate jobs, working for corporations that are using that money to oppress us? Black businesses need to create legacies for our youth. Our youth need to be able to come out and some of them become entrepreneurs, but others just build upon which was done before. This is not new. We've had Black Wall Street. Back in 1860s, here in New York, we had black people thriving, and they were killed because people were jealous of them. In Wilmington, North Carolina, we had another Black Wall Street. So that we need to continue to build on the legacy of those who have gone before. So Let's Buy Black 365 is committed to legacy building.
Me being a Bedford-Stuyvesant man, I have to say, yes, we did. We had Weeksville in 1856, one of the first black settlements in Brooklyn with free blacks, and it had a thriving economy in that work, and which segues very well into my next panelist, Councilman Robert Cornegy. We've heard a lot about what we need to do, which is buy black. And can you talk a little bit about some of the programs that are in place to help black businesses get themselves up and running?
Thank you. So I've sat here for this time with bated breath like a little kid waiting to be able to speak, because I'm so excited about the idea that as a city government, while we look to right this terrible wrong as it relates to minority contracting in the city, we're doing 2 to 3% on billions of dollars of contracts. And the comptroller came out with this scathing report that really basically sent a tremendous red flag to what we already know in our communities was being done to us. I'm here to bring some good news in the fact that I'm not just a council member for this area. I actually chair the Committee on Small Business, which is actually the first time a black male has done that, number one. Number two, we just, I'm going to tell you this because I'm a little scared now that once people realize what happened, we just appointed the first black male commissioner of small business services a couple of weeks ago. So I'm a little scared that when they wake up and realize that the city's economy rests on the hinges on the back of 2 black males. Dare I say 2 big black males? He's about 6'5" too. But we're poised and ready to act on behalf of small businesses, primarily minority-owned and immigrant-owned small businesses across the city. I was instrumental in putting together the first new initiative that the city of New York has seen in over 20 years, which is called Chamber on the Go, which basically seeks to take all of the city services, everything from access to capital to technical assistance, directly to the doorsteps of small businesses. Because although the city had these services available, only one demographic was benefiting from it, primarily because of lack of information, and secondly, because if you're a small or micro business, you just don't have the capacity to send somebody to sit in, endless hours of seminars on, even if they're giving away $1 million cash, you just can't afford to send somebody down because your staff is so limited. It's probably 1 or 2 people. So what we said was, that's not the correct way to do business in a city like this. We need to take those services directly to the doorstep. Last year, we got a few $100,000 to do it as a Brooklyn pilot, and this year we launched the first 5-borough initiative, where it's everywhere from Far Rockaway to the South Bronx, where we're dealing directly with small minority-owned businesses. So I'm extremely excited. What I am concerned about is that minority-owned, black-owned, primarily small businesses are taking on such a tremendous responsibility. Instead of just focusing on being able to focus on doing good business, you have to focus on altruism, you got to focus on community development, you got to focus on all of these things that take away from the good work that small businesses and the good products that can be produced. Now I know as a people we're consistently ready ourselves for this fight, but the reality is that's a competition that other small businesses don't have. They don't have in their mission statement altruism or community development or any of those kinds of things. So they focus solely on producing a product that consumers can consume. And I feel like we are so responsible for all of the other variables, employment, the community development, and I wonder if we're spreading ourselves too thin as a community of small businesses. So but I am glad to hear that while the city is poised and ready to shift the balance of contracts to everybody in the city, that there's a movement for individuals to be responsible, right? So while we wait for this great thing to happen, you can still go and buy. I tell my small businesses in my neighborhood all the time, the best thing I could do is come patronize you. But the chair small business, that's terrific. But the best thing I could do is have my wife, my children, which I have 6 of. If you get my family to support you, you're in good shape as it starts. But to get us as an idea that we are going to shop within our communities, period, end of the story. So whether I'm the chair small business or whether I'm just somebody who lives in the community, my focus has to be on spending my dollar where it makes the biggest difference and has the biggest impact. So I'm glad to be in this room.
So when I started, I did tell you guys that I'm the ambassador of arts and culture for Bedford-Stuyvesant and Northern Crown Heights under Councilman Robert Cornegy, which is unique within its own right because I am the only ambassador of arts and culture in the city of New York, and because the title never existed until the council member decided to put one in place. And that was because he realized that the best way to maintain your community is through your arts and culture and your small business. So the next question, and I'll throw it to you, Natasha. Why is this a good time for a movement like this? I mean, in Bedford-Stuyvesant, I understand why it's great because there are a lot of innovative things happening here in the community that would help move businesses along, and especially black businesses. But why do you think it's a great time for a movement like this?
All right, and I think I can answer that question in 2 ways. One, going back to something that Robert Cornegy just spoke of, which is the capacity and the availability for small businesses to build capacity to be able to do other things in the community. And when we look at where black-owned businesses are, and the reality that we do have thriving black-owned businesses that many people don't know about, and we have other small black-owned businesses that are dying, this is the time where individuals who are frustrated about what's going on politically in our country, who are deeply saddened by verdicts around Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland, and who are ready to do something. There's so many times that people say, well, we need to get to point X. We need huge factories. We need huge, there are all these things that we need to do. Well, where does that start? We have individuals who come to this country from other countries who within 2 years are able to build infrastructure. So instead of looking at, wow, they were able to do that, but we don't have X, this movement at this moment in time is about how do I take my personal power and contribute it to something that is bigger than myself to carry us as a people to where we want to be. Political power happens once economic power has happened, and that is the first step. And one of the amazing things about this movement and some of our strategic partners is that this is not just about buying black. This is a holistic approach to black unity and black economic empowerment. And the way that is that there are strategic partners who have stood up and said, I am going to provide educational resources for business-to-business services so that some of these small businesses that are black-owned who need help gaining capacity, who may need help with operations or customer service or in all of these areas, can in fact get some of that help and begin to grow in capacity so that they can create jobs. Dr. Kambon just spoke of, we have all of these young people in colleges who have been strong enough to rise up on college campuses and speak out about systemic racism. But for those of us who have already graduated, this is the time where we can say, I am taking personal responsibility to make sure that those kinds of college students and high school students and even the elementary school students or even the babies who aren't even talking yet have places to go in legacy institutions that we have grown because I have chosen to give back to my community through my dollars, and not just give back, but to patronize businesses that are committed to jobs, that are committed to community development, that are committed to not just entry-level jobs, but grooming people for management positions and grooming people for executive positions and grooming people to take over so that a company like Alpha Office Supplies, who is now in second generation, can begin grooming the third and fourth and fifth generations. This is what Black economic empowerment is about, and this is what it looks like. And it starts today.
So my next question is for the two business owners. As business owners of color, what are some of the problems that you would come across trying to get this message 365 out, Let's Buy Black 365 out to the masses? And how do you think that, and then I want to go to the doctor and ask, how do we overcome those problems? So I'll start with Chet, because I'm looking at his direction.
Well, let's we'll talk about problems in our community in terms of our young small businesses that are coming up. First, let me give you a little more background on Alpha Office Supplies. We are a Black Enterprise Award company. We are number 73 on their list. We're roughly about a $40 million company. We've been operating at that level for quite a few years. And some of the issues or some of the problems that you're really talking about really stems from not having enough information on how to win. The question is, how do you win? When the councilman talked about in New York, they're opening up more opportunities for small business to be able to bid on opportunities. The real question is, it's a bid. It's an RFP. Many folks don't have the skill set to be able to bid on an RFP. And what an RFP is, a request for proposal. They are asking you to provide a document that says, and you tell them how you can solve their problem at the right price. So one of the things that we've concentrated on in Philadelphia and with the Eastern Minority Supply Development Council out of Philadelphia, which is a part of the National Minority Supply Development Council, is that we provided some training in that area. I actually have a video that teaches companies how to do RFPs. All right, and so that vehicle will be offered to you guys at no cost, etc., to the movement, so that can go around and people can learn what you need to do to be competitive as a small business.
I just want to know, Chad, are we doing business with you in the city of New York?
Not yet.
All right.
So the second thing I wanted to say is that with small business, a lot of times there's businesses that operate between two cycles. One is called a lifestyle business, and the other is called a wealth building business. And unfortunately, a lot of our African American businesses are on lifestyle. Okay, and when I talk about lifestyle is that, you got the nice car, you've got a house, and you got a couple of dollars in your house, in your pocket, but at the end of the day, at the end of the year, there's no money left, okay? And so many, many years ago, and even within my company, what we had to do is we had to change from being a lifestyle company to a wealth building company. It's a totally different model. It totally looks different. It looks different because when you are a wealth building company, you're about making wealth for every one of your employees that are working for you. Secondly, just to give you an example in our company, we try to figure out, well, how can we share more wealth within our company? We changed our 401k program to a safe harbor program. What does that mean? That means that I have to give every one of our employees a percentage of money of their annual salary every year to them. That's wealth building. That's building, and if you get folks to come work for you for 20, 25 years, etc., Now they've built their own wealth themselves. So it has to start somewhere. It has to start with the business person. It has to start, you're talking about the problems. It has to start with us recognizing what we're not good at and how we fix what we're not good at. Those are the kinds of things that we have to do. Those are the ways you recognize the problems in our community. And there are many, but we have the power. Our company is a nationwide company. We're doing business. Our website is open. People buy all over the country. We service major corporations throughout the country. And what I wanted to say is so important in my next couple of steps. Let's Buy Black 365 is not just about just black folks buying from other black folks. It's everybody buying from us too as well.
And that's a great point that I wanted to, and hopefully Mr. Muhammad can pick up on that. And how do we do that? How do we get people from around the world to buy Black 365?
Before I answer that question in the former, I want to ask the audience a question. Is there anyone out there that doesn't use bathroom tissue? Raise your hand, please. Okay, you want to get the camera on anybody? Okay. The point that I'm making with that is, if we ask the question, how many black manufacturers that have capacity could you name? How many people could name 5? If we ask the question, what industry anywhere on the globe do we control?
No.
Could anybody name one? You can name an industry? Yes, sir.
Going to jail.
Oh, that's a very sad one.
No,
Thank you.
we don't own that.
Oh, we don't even own that.
We don't
Sorry,
own
my
it.
bad.
Okay.
My bad.
The point here is we have to understand that power in this world comes from economic strength. What nation is there that exists that is a powerful nation that doesn't have economic power? And so when we're looking and talking about the problems and the challenges, we have to understand that economics is synonymous with survival. So one of the things that we've done as a much smaller and newer company, we've been in business now for about 4.5 years, Freedom Paper Company. And in that small and short time, we're growing as people like you begin to get to know about us and see our products, get to use and utilize our products. Now, the challenges that we've been brainwashed with still lay in our minds coming up out of slavery and Jim Crow. If we look into the history of Jim Crow, we have to understand that in terms of economics, the damage that was done to us both physically and psychologically. Imagine yourself today being a farmer, and yet you can't sell your crops to anyone because you have to have a white broker to go through to sell your crops. And in fact, if you don't sell them that way, you're going to jail. Imagine now the distrust that is sown into us where the black merchant is attempting to sell goods but has to go now through the white broker who raises the price and tells the other black customer that, see, your brother wouldn't treat you right, but I'll give you a better price. See, these are the misconceptions and lies that have been interwoven into us over centuries that we now have to wash away. So what we're saying at Freedom Paper Company is we understand ourselves because we're black people. So we had to look at our own psychology. So when we came up with our products, we knew that we had to do a few things. Number one, we had to be price comparative. So we are. If you look at the market, you'll challenge. People have challenged us. We've been on presentation. They go online and look it up and challenge and look. But we have to understand how the markets work. We have to have quality, like any other product. We're talking about being able to service the world. We have to be able to compete with the world. But we also have to understand that we have to grow into the capacity to compete. Because other people have the benefit of slavery and the wealth of slavery that was pulled from our ancestors and their blood and tears that they're benefiting from. And so when we look at a small company like what we do, consumers are already saying that we have great quality service, great products. How are we able to compete with larger companies with more money? Because we work harder at it to do it. One of the things that other groups, ethnic groups, has that we don't is a foundation to stand upon. Brothers and sisters, when we look at other communities building up, there's a Chinatown here in New York, right? But the Chinese have a saying. Their saying is, if a Chinese makes it, and it's of good or favorable quality, and a fair price, not the best price, just a fair price, guess what they say? We must buy it. These are the types of things that we need to do ourselves to begin to overcome the impediments, and you will begin to see us grow and to flourish. And all the things that you would want to see from us, that you see in a world that's already built up, over 200 years of taking slave money from us and the blood of other people on the planet, you will see us too being able to exceed what you see in the world today. But it starts with us, with a movement like Buy Black 365 and standing on a foundation that we need to build.
Thank you. I always feel like a deal because I have to cut the panel now and go to the audience and ask some questions. Okay.
I think it's important to sum it up in terms of the psychological aspects as Brother Kamos began. I'm a past president of the Association of Black Psychologists and the most recent past Queen Mother. We do that, we do our things in tradition, and we're beginning to change the look of what psychology is for Black people. Because it comes from our story. Not their story, it comes from our story. And part of it is that we have to become fearless in our move to regain our power. Because we have been afraid. We have to realize that. The fear has been put in us. You know, when they let us watch our people hang and our mother's stomachs cut open, that was intentional, to instill fear so that you would always see them as your master. It takes a lot to overcome that. Part of it is education, but part of it is believing in yourself. George Fraser does this piece that we have on Let's Buy Black 365. When spiders unite, they can tie up a lion. And we must tie up that lion externally and internally so that we can move to the next level and just consciously change our behavior. Let's Buy Black is a movement to help us get there. And you have heard from our panelists that educational opportunities, nothing can stop you once you know you can win.
Anyone, there's any questions in the audience? There's one right behind you, right behind you.
Sorry. I have all over the place. Sorry.
Yeah, run. I'll make you work. Yeah, start
Yeah.
running.
First of all,
Please state your name and.
okay, thank you. Milton Alimadi. I publish the Black Star News and blackstarnews.com. I feel so blessed and energized just being here today for this announcement. And my question is, can we find a way to make Let's Buy Black 365 as ubiquitous as the saying, Black Lives Matter? Because that's what it amounts to. Economic empowerment is where it starts. Only then can you protect your community and your resources and get the political empowerment and education and everything else. So if we can partner with some of the young folks, everybody knows the saying, Black Lives Matter. I think when people tweet Black Lives Matter, they should add on Let's Buy Black 365 to it. Thank you.
So we're gonna go. I know you want. Who wants to answer? Okay. So come on. You're gonna answer. Give me a quick answer.
Yes.
30 seconds.
I'll try. So the answer to that is in what we've been saying. So everyone in this room, everyone watching this broadcast, is the answer to the problem. We are the solution. You are the solution. So the answer to how do we get the word out is for everyone who I see smartphones. I'm sure everybody is touching or near a smartphone. Get on your phone and post this for other people. Go talk to other people. This is a national call to action for Black people all over the country. We've even heard from Black people all over the world who are already hearing about this movement and getting involved. And in terms of, making it around the country, this is already a national movement. We're announcing it now, but we have organizers here from Boston, Massachusetts. We have organizers in Missouri and Ohio and Illinois and North Carolina. We have organizers all over the country, but there don't have to be just a few organizers. Any Black person who is with a group, is not with a group, knows an organization, is a business owner, whoever you are, you can say right now, I am choosing to empower myself. I am choosing to become an organizer. Go to letsbuyblack365.com, register. It's a social network also, so you can connect with people around the world, and you can begin to build with community not only online, but offline. And so the answer is you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just really quickly, I want to remind everybody, though, especially business owners, that there's a real two-pronged attack to this. And part of it is reminding ourselves of the social responsibility, but the other part is marketing and branding. And so there's $1 million being spent on marketing and branding to make products that we don't even know we want sexy. And when we then counterbalance that with social responsibility, my young people tell me it's corny. So we can't leave out the fact that you have to build in a marketing plan in and around this, because we live in the world of social media. And everything has and resonates through how things are marketed to people. So although there's a huge social responsibility component to that, we are a generation away from our social responsibility, and our young people don't have that immediate connection. So let's not leave out the necessity for marketing and branding that's attractive.
Right, so we have strategic partners who are in marketing, who are in media. We have partners who are in the entertainment industry.
No, that wasn't an indictment.
No, just sharing with the audience that these are all in place, and then, this is again a call to action for anyone else who wants to join in. This is the start of a movement that is taking place every day, starting today, but especially, it starts today, but every day for the next 365 days, January 1, this is a way that you can engage in every way possible.
Good evening. My name is Zachary Husser, and I'm the National Communication Advisor for Fathers in Education campaign. I also see my fraternity brother up there from Omega Psi Phi. One of the questions that I have to ask is, it goes to Brother Cornegie. It's about doing your work at home. And I'm not talking about in my family home. Here I'm talking about right in New York City. In New York City, if we take a look at it, we have about 1.3 million students, and most of them are students of color, and they're going through that educational system. All right, the city spends about $24 to $28 billion every 12 months, okay, to so-called educate our children. We pay taxes, and our tax dollars are used to balance the budget for the city. But our Black companies don't get any contracts from the Board of Education. They spend $24 billion every 12 months. 1.3 million of our children are in those schools, but we don't have one contract from the Board of Ed, not one. Now, and it's been that way for a lot of administrations, and my question to the politicians is, what do you need us to do to change that scenario? Now, the request for proposal, Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love, is different from New York, okay? Because in New York, and let me tell you, they use the request for proposal to turn you down and use your ideas and give them to the other person, and then that company takes your ideas and they get the money.
Every time.
So
Every time.
So the city of New York is in bad shape as it relates to contract, and I mentioned that to start off the bat. But let me just quickly tell you something though. I can tell you 50 stories about how I pissed off the Department of Education. I'm just gonna tell you one. I was responsible for Avante's law, right, which we know had required that there's alarms installed in every school door, K through 5 in the city of New York, to protect students from being able to elope or intruders being able to come in. That was a $6 million contract. That was a hard fight to get that law passed and then to get it implemented. But while I was at the table implementing it, I said, hold on. I appreciate the fact that you're going to implement this, but where's the minority contracting that are going to do the installation and provide the materials? And if I could have filmed the look on their face when I asked for that, the look was almost like we gave you the law and we gave you the resources. You want the money too?
No.
So you need to know that it's relentless as far as I'm concerned. There's not one entity that we're willing to accept. And I proposed that at the table and went back time after time and found that what was really stated was that there weren't minority contractors that were in the pipeline that could have either provided supplies or done the installation, which may or may not be true. And we're working to combat that. But the School Construction Authority is the only city agency right now that has a minority contracting pipeline. They actually have at Hunter College, where they're taking these minorities too. I have to answer the man's question.
Yeah, we're running out of time, and that's a question that.
Bro, I'll see you later, bro.
Right. We want to really keep it directly towards buying black 365. I understand about getting the contracts and everything else, but that's not about buying black. That's about obtaining something else. So that's not a part of it. And I understand. I got it, but I just got to make sure that the questions are being asked. So we only have about.
It's a valid question, though.
Yeah, we only have 5 minutes left, and within that 5 minutes, briefly, I'm going to say this briefly because I will cut you off. And you have 30 seconds to explain, give me a closing comment. We're going to start from my far left and work our way down.
I'm going to really talk about this.
But everyone's going to close out, so when it gets to her, she'll be able to. Okay, well, so we don't close out?
Yeah, I'll close this out. I'll close this out.
With just you, nobody else has anything else to say to close out?
No.
Okay, so she's gonna close out. We have no more questions because she's closing out.
All right, so in closing, I do want to ask everyone right now to write down, go on your smartphone, go to social media, and look at Let's Buy Black 365 and what this movement is. This is a movement, again, with organizers all over the country who are doing something that is really exciting people because it's young people and older generations coming together around a concept of, I am sick of just talking about a problem, and I am ready to take action in my own life. I'm ready to work with others, and all of the things that have separated us and divided us in the past that have been barriers to unity. People are putting those aside and saying, I am working with you because we have a common goal. I'm not focused on the differences. I am focused on the solution, and I'm focused on how I can be a part of the solution. So any dialogue that's outside of that scope has not been a part of this as we have moved forward. And the ways that we have moved forward are with strategic partners like Freedom Paper Company, which sells bathroom tissue, something that everyone can use today. Everyone can go to letsbuyblack365.com and click on the icon for Freedom Paper Company and buy bathroom tissue. That can be your first act of Ujamaa, which today is December 29, 2015. Ujamaa is cooperative economics. I might have already bought bathroom tissue before today. Guess what? It doesn't expire. You can go online right now and patronize a company that has just told you that it has been, this is not futuristic, it has been giving back to schools. It has been creating jobs in the community. It is Buy Black, No Excuses. We can patronize companies like Alpha Office Supplies that is going above and beyond in terms of delivering, everyone in this country can use office or school supplies or writing utensils. So this is what you can do right now today. So it's no more futuristic, we should. This is about right now, what I am going to do. And so go on, register. There's an entire social network where you can start building your community. And what everyone should do, and one of the most important parts that we haven't talked about, is there's a directory component. And this is not your old school directory where someone compiles a white pages and hands it to you and you are passive. Oftentimes we're passive in our own oppression. This is a way for you to say, how many black-owned businesses do I know? I maybe know 5. I maybe know 2. Maybe I only know 1. But if 1,000 of us know one business, collectively we know 1,000 businesses. And so this is your opportunity to go on this crowd-sourced, like crowdfunding, where 1 or 2 people give $1 or $5 and you get to these huge amounts collectively. This is a crowd-sourced approach to sharing the businesses, the services, the community resources, the organizations that are doing things in the community, so that we can all have what Chet just talked about the collective knowledge, and what Dr. Kamban just talked about rebuilding our confidence in ourselves and having solutions that we have each contributed to. So that's the call to action. Go online right now and contribute. Say, who do I know? What do I know? Let me join. I don't see anything from my community. This just launched today. I don't see anything, but I can go online right now and I can be the source of a solution to a problem that another brother or sister from my community is asking. And so that is the movement. That is the call to action for everyone who is watching this. And, you know, we are disconnected because we're not talking to each other. So online and offline dialogues are beginning. And the dialogue has to be about the solution. We're not talking about what we didn't do in the past or where we want to be at some futuristic point. I mean, we are strategically planning for that, but it's not going to be a source to derail us from the focus of today, right now. And starting January 1st for the next $365, this is a case study in how successful are you at doing the work.
Really brief, how do we get in contact with you, Chet, if we wanted to buy office supplies? I'm quite sure everybody who's trying to start a business, everybody runs to Staples or runs to OfficeMax. We can come see you over at Alpha. How do we get in contact with you?
Well, you can
Really
go to
briefly.
Let's Buy Black 365, and you can click on the icon, and you'll get in touch with us through that method. Actually, when you do that, we want to make sure that everyone understands is that we want to make sure that Let's Buy Black 365 gets credit for that too as well. So that you have to go on, you have to sign on as a guest, and then you need just to send an email. The instructions should tell you this. You send an email to customer service at alphaofficesupplies.com or alphaos.com. And just say you're a member of Let's Buy Black, and from that point going forward, we'll be measuring your transactions.
Okay, Ms. Muhammad, is that the same process in getting in contact with?
Very much similar as well. We're on Let's Buy Black 365. And we've also set up a special code. So if you come to our website at www.freedompapercompany.com, and when you're going through the checkout, you put in LBB 365. Not only will we be giving money back to Let's Buy Black 365, but you also get a discount directly. So now there's 2 wins that you have when you shop Black.
Okay. And Councilmember, do you have anything to say in closing?
If I could wrap up real quickly, I just want to say that I put together a Bedford-Stuyvesant Small Business Town Hall where I'm bringing all the city agencies into Restoration Plaza. That's everything from the mayor's office to SBS, the SBDC, everybody together under one roof to answer any questions that you have as a small business, and that's December 10th, and I have the information for that. Please don't allow...
December 10th?
I'm sorry, January 10th. January 10th, I'm on a different clock. Is it the 11th?
Yes.
Thanks, Mike. Oh, and my bid director's in the building. Thank you, Mike Lambert. I love you so much. But yes, that small business town hall is scheduled. Please grab a flyer and make sure you're there, and any other small business that you think could benefit from knowledge and information, please be there.
And, Doctor, do you have anything in closing?
First, I'd like to call the organizers up that are here from around the country, Boston, DC, Maryland area. Could you just come out and be recognized? These are just a few of the tireless workers that have helped to put it together, and they need to be recognized. There are so many more online watching, there's so many in their community still. And my final comment is that, again, this is your mind, body, and spirit movement. Let's Buy Black 365 is about your commitment to yourself, your commitment to future generations, your commitment to this race. If you believe in you, and if you believe in us, then you'll go to Let's Buy Black 365 today and join.
Okay, so I'd like to thank everyone for coming out.
We're not, excuse me. So, sorry, we're not done yet. So I just want to say thank you for coming to this portion of the program. It's going to be followed by another part, celebrating Kwanzaa. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming. Make sure you guys don't leave. That's why I'm interjecting. So that's my point. So again, thank you so much for coming. I hope you learned a lot today. Most importantly, I hope you spread the word. That's going to be the key. Spread the word, please. So that's something to close out.
And I will share that this Kwanzaa, we are so honored that Reverend Dennis Dillon invited Let's Buy Black 365 to be here in Brooklyn, New York. For those of you who don't know, Reverend Dennis Dillon, we're in his church, and the members of his church just got off of a 40-day boycott fast where they have not been patronizing anything other than Black-owned businesses. And we've had the luxury of doing several radio programs together, and it is absolutely inspiring how successfully, for years now, they have done this boycott movement. And they had so many people within their church and within the community who said, okay, we understand the importance of economic sanctions, where we are not spending with companies that are destroying our communities, some of these big box stores that are invested in the prison industrial complexes and all these kinds of things. So we are not spending with those companies. And so we've done the boycott thing, but now what's next? And so we're here to do a special Kwanzaa on Ujamaa Cooperative Economics Day to talk about what's next via Let's Buy Black 365. So join us for this interactive live streaming. You can participate, and we're going to start. So let's welcome Reverend Dennis Dillon.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, man.
Y'all got to put your hands together for all this great information that I'm so inspired. I am so inspired. Let's put our hands together again for Nataki Kambon, for her leadership. And that's the kind of leadership that we need to move our community and our people to the next level. I salute all the fine business leaders in the House, and I'm getting ready to tell our executive minister that we're not going to buy no more toilet papers from anybody else, but freedom. And I really want to just quickly say we're going to just jump into part 2, and we're going to probably just elaborate on some of the stuff that we've been talking about here, and we want to obviously move to that as quickly as possible. But we're in a crisis, Black people. I don't know if we understand the extent to which we're really in a crisis. We are a people that is spending in excess of $1.3 trillion in these United States of America, and very little of those dollars are coming back to us. Can I tell you how much of those dollars come back to Black-owned businesses? Of the $1.3 trillion, we get back to black businesses less than 0.5%. Now that's a major, major, major crisis. We are the only race of people in America where we're not even getting back a single % of our disposable income. So we're going to have to really get serious about this Buy Black 365 movement. We're going to have to take this thing to the next level, and I'm ready to do whatever it is that we need to do. New York, we're on.
Yes.
Okay, and our councilman is here. We're ready to roll up our sleeves and get this done. And I'm particularly inspired by the fact that right there on the website, we can identify the businesses. We've been talking about that. We've been pulling together a list of black businesses to work with and to support. And we're obviously going to coordinate as to how we incorporate all of that energy. So we're doing this together. So we're just going to reset and get everything ready. So please stay. We're going to jump into part 2. We're going to hear from this dynamic woman who's going to come and share a little bit more with us. And particularly on this evening, when our focus is Ujamaa, cooperative economics, that we talk through these things. And I'm going to share a little bit about how we need to collaborate and connect between these two aspects. Number one is how do we punish our enemies and those hostile corporations and businesses that are not responsive to our communities, and then how we reward our friends. And that's our own businesses in our community. Can't do one without the other, particularly given the place where we are and the crisis we're dealing with. So we're going to move to the next level. Thank you, and thank you all for your outstanding work.
I got a good group photo. Can I take a group photo of you guys together?
Behind the table, right?
So
Behind the
those of you
table.
who are here, you can get
So
ready.
you can get the sign?
Get a
Or-
pen and a paper, and we are going to have an exercise with you. Yeah, at the stand behind the table. Or?
Yeah, behind the table.
He's just gonna take the photo.
And organizers, please get ready. We want to invite you up for the second group picture. Organizers, please get ready.